So this is where it starts. We're still doing a little construction, but come on, we'll go in. When we redesigned the space, we realized that we were going to have people taking a tour up here. We wanted to show them how the carillon worked. So we put the chimes, some of the chimes from the carillon, in a glass front case. And there's actually big, long metal bars in there that are struck by a hammer that's amplified and then played out of the loudspeakers on the top level of the tower. So it's not real bells, but it's not a tape loop either. And so this over here, underneath that sheet, is the keyboard where the carillonneur plays it. It's recorded into these machines here, and then at the appropriate time, it's played back. So this is just the second of the indoor levels. The way the tours will work is there'll be 10 people per tour. There'll be 2 tour guides with them, front and back, and as you come up, you'll pause on each level for a little historical information about Balboa Park, San Diego, the 1915 Panama, California Exposition. There'll be no exhibits in here. You get to see the tower in basically its pure state. This building has always been some kind of exhibit hall or museum. Now, a lot of people looking at the outside, they say, oh, it's a church. It must be a church. It looks just like a church. It has never been a church. But it was designed to look like churches in Mexico, and they themselves were designed to look like churches from Spain. The tower was supposed to represent kind of the unity of San Diego. You have to remember that the 1915 Panama, California Exposition almost didn't happen. There was a national contest to pick the city that would hold the exposition to celebrate the opening of the Panama Canal. San Francisco won that, and San Diego wasn't willing to accept that answer and mustered its political power to find the funds and the personnel and just the interest of the people to make it happen. They raised an incredible amount of money for the period to start an exposition here to celebrate the thing that San Francisco was celebrating. They brought millions of people in over 2 years. So this tower, at the time, you've got to remember, San Diego had about 35,000 people. This was probably the tallest building, and it sits on top of a mesa, which is about 250 feet tall. So you've got the tower on top of a height already. I'm sure that you could see it from downtown at the time. We're not sure why it was closed. We do know it was closed in 1935, probably after the 1935 exposition. They didn't have the staff resources and the money to keep the tower open. Well, just as people who run the museums today, we are currently the stewards of the same buildings that they were stewards of. We can kind of understand that. Knowing what it took us to reopen the tower makes us understand why they probably closed it. So this is the 7th floor, and we're about to go up to the public level, and we're going to go up these spiral staircases, and you'll see why this building was put where it was 100 years ago. From up here, the world looks different. So sometimes things that are obvious on the ground are not obvious from on high. For example, the shipyards. Over here, you can see the rest of Balboa Park. Spreckles Oregon Pavilion suddenly looks like it's closer to you. To the east here, which is where we're looking, we have the approach path for the airport. Looking to the north and the northeast, we see the Old Globe and their outdoor theater. Just beyond that, we can see the zoo, down into the zoo, including the safari ride, an aviary, and some of the exhibits there. And beyond that, we see the North Park Water Tower, and beyond that, we see the Cuyamaca Mountains.